Good afternoon everybody and welcome to Direct Drilling on a lovely sunny Sunday afternoon. Isn't it great? Wheat harvest finished and the sun's decided to come out. It'll probably only stay out until we want to start combining the spring oats and the beans, and then it'll sod off again for another God knows how long. But we're in the field of gator that was direct drilled with the Sumo DD3, and half of the field was direct drilled with the Simba Horsch. Now you may have watched the previous videos, and if you haven't, shame on you. Go down the bottom, look at the Sumo DD3 playlist, have a look through them and you'll catch up if this makes no sense to you. Now we're in the bit here that was planted by the Sumo. Now it's been in the ground about 16 days and it's just starting to come up through now. But the issue that was foremost with the DD3 was hairpinning. Disc drill, lots of trash, especially this oilseed rape trash, the pods and that, loads and loads of them, and the worry was that it wasn't going to push the seedlings down through that and it would be hairpinning, i.e. sitting in the trash and not the soil. But as you can see, there's a few plants there, and we're going to have a bit of a dig and we'll see down through the trash into the soil. There's a bit of trash still in there, but it's obviously put the seeds down through it, and there we go. A nice little seedling, lovely depth, about an inch deep, and there's some that were actually just about sitting on the surface that had bounced out, and that one is still sprouted and grown. So let's have a look a little bit further along. Again, cutting down through the trash, and it's put the seeds down into the soil and they're grown quite nicely. I'm trying to find an area where there may be some sat in the trash, and let's see where we are. There we go. There we have some there, and there's no doubt they've been put down through quite a lot of trash and they're still growing away quite merrily. So the Sumo DD3 seems to have done an absolutely super job of putting... Oh, I've just whacked me headphones with the digger. That was loud. Oh dear. So yes, the Sumo DD3 has done a super job of putting the seed down through the trash, cutting through it or pushing down through it, it doesn't matter, but it's put the seed in contact with the soil. So as we move along into the bit planted with the Simba Horsch, let's find a trashy area. There's got to be one somewhere. There was plenty when we were planting. So here we go. Here's a trashy area here. So let's just have a look down, and we can see there again the plants are coming up. I would say there we go. There's a fair bit of trash there, mind. But again, the Simba's put the seed down into the soil. It's what you would expect. It's a tine drill. This comparison was mainly to see the problems with hairpinning with a disc drill, and as far as I can see, there don't really seem to be too many. The only observation I would make on this field as a whole is that how slow it's all been to come up through. Now we're going to pop next door and we're going to have a look at a field of gator again that was planted a day earlier than this, and it was all planted with the Sumo DD3, and it's shown a little bit more life now. So let's tootle away along and have a look at that. Well, we've arrived in the field that was planted end to end completely by the Sumo DD3. It was planted a day before the previous field we've looked at, which has the comparison in. It was rolled afterwards, as was the previous field. So what we can see in here is, we can see that although it's only a day ahead, there's considerably more plants. I don't quite understand that, because there's even more better germination in here than there was from the Sumo DD3 just next door. So that's a little bit of an anomaly. But let's have a look in here and let's have a look at the trashy bits. As you can see, any amount of seedlings coming up there, down through the trash. It's pushed the trash well down into the channel, but the seed is, there's a one there that hasn't, oh yeah, it has germinated. There's just been a bit of a variability in the germination generally on this, but if we have a look up the row, you can see where this trashy section is, everything seems to have germinated or is germinating. There's a one there. You see that one there? Okay, so maybe it's a little bit slower for one reason or another. I've just pulled the roots out of that one, so that's that one buggered. If the yield's down next year, it'll be my fault. So there we have it. Let's just turn around here and have a look at a non-trashy bit, and you'll see, there we go. If we have a look down there, you can see there, I think, you know, there is something about this direct drilling where you've got all this trash lying around and things aren't as easy to see, so you tend to see the crop as being a little bit poorer in those areas. And unless you get down and have a little bit of a dig and have a look at the plants and get a really close look, it's very difficult. It's a little bit disconcerting sometimes, but there's no need, because I don't think there's any more plants there than there is over here. They're just a little bit easier to see here than they are to see there, you know, and that's basically it. So I don't fret too much about it. The other thing I like about this Sumo DD3, one of the many things I like about it, is the seed spacing. I like the idea of the seed being in close bands there, then a gap, close bands, gap, close bands. I just like it. I'm not quite sure why, but I think if you've got, I've said this before, haven't I? But for those of you who, shame on you, have not seen the previous videos, when you get up to around about 400 plus seeds per metre squared, I worry somewhat about seed density within the row, whereby the seeds are probably sitting on top of each other. You might got a 1 centimetre gap between the seeds. So on a 10-inch row, yeah, so you've got four rows or something like that across a square metre, whereas on here you're going to have something like 6 rows. So the seed density is a little bit less, but we're going to have a look at that when the plants are further up through. Look, little eagle eye here. Slugs, man. Look at that. Little rascals. Now we have had slug pellets on here, pre-planting and post. There's another one there. The little sods. And there. We're going to need to keep an eye on this, again in the trashy areas. But I have, there we go, there's another one there. And that's just happened in the last few days, because that's just come up in the last few days. There's another one there. We're going to have to jump on this, I think. Might even have to have some more. But I have an idea for the chopped straw, which will come to fruition a little bit later in the year. But there you have it. As promised, the next episode of the Sumo and Horsch comparison. We'll probably be back to this in about 2 weeks' time. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Now let's take a look at what's coming your way on the Direct Drilling channel next week.